Everyone, welcome back to another Godzilla Battleline video, and today I am coming at you with not only a deck involving Godzilla Earth, which has been requested, don't think I don't read those comments, and also a deck for Kamen Rider Leader and for Kumo Augment, so it's like a nice, neat little bow, and I don't think it should go without saying, right? I think Kumo Augment is fine in pretty much every deck, so I don't plan on making a deck video specifically for what deck works best with him. Just throw him in whatever you want, and he's just going to carry you. But Kamen Rider Leader has a fun ability that does not depend on you having a certain amount of units on the field or a certain type of units. You know, G89 has great ability, but only works for units that are 5 cost and higher, right? Biollante is a fantastic ability, only works on ranged units. So, Kamen Rider's Leader ability stuns the field for 3 seconds. Anything on the field pretty much gets stunned. There are a few exceptions, you know, like Girth and Ultraman won't be stunned. Sometimes if the enemy leader is in their leader ability, when you use it, it won't stun them either. For some reason, Kiryu like pops out of the stun super early for some reason. I don't know why. So we have him in this deck, and we'll talk about that too. But pretty much what you're going to want to do is you earth up the side. You just plop your guys wherever. You let the chips fall where they are, and you just wipe them. Okay, so we'll break it down piece by piece like we normally do. Kamen Rider Leader, don't really have to break down what makes him so good. We just talked about he stuns everything, but he also basically makes flyers pretty worthless against him. So Mothra Leo is still used a fair amount in the meta right now, and Mothra Leo will make contact with Kamen Rider. Maybe not on the first push because Kamen Rider can push him back, but on the second go or something, he can still be hit by Mothra Leo, but units like Mega Gearus, King Ghidorah, Batra, Fyrodan, these kinds of guys are pretty much going to be null and void with Kamen Rider Leader, and then you have that nice little stun that we've talked about, and you'll see on the screen in the gameplay that is just running the meta right now. Cool. Kumo Augment, first up on the list. Don't really also need to explain too much about Kumo Augment either. If you've been playing the game to any capacity this month or watching my videos, you know how powerful Kumo Augment is. Easily the best character in the game right now. He's running the show. He's made a ton of units obsolete. GMK pretty much is obsolete. One of the best characters in the last, 2 or 3 months. Now basically doesn't have a home anymore because he can't attack. Characters like G89 aren't really usable. Anything with an attack speed of 3.3 seconds or higher pretty much just gets absolutely dunked on by Kumo Augment, and then he also makes it really difficult for your enemy's characters to even just attack in the first place. So he's a no-brainer. Got to include him in this, but it's also Shin Kamen Rider Leader deck, so it'd be a little weird if we didn't also include at least one other Kamen Rider character. And at the time that this video drops, he's the only other one. I'm expecting we're going to get at least 2 more. Gigan 04. I have been riding the Gigan 04 train for some time now. If you've watched my videos, you know this. He is doing exceptionally well this season because he is a genuine, very, very good counter to Kumo Augment. Okay? Kumo Augment still can stun him and can stun him out of his grapple, but if you come at Kumo Augment from the side, or you have Kumo Augment maybe is distracted by another unit, right? The enemy Kumo is distracted, and then you throw Gigan up the side, he's going to take aggro, he's going to redirect the enemy Kumo Augment, he's going to start hitting him, and he attacks faster than Kumo Augment does. Off the top of my head, I want to say Gigan has a 1.6 attack speed, way faster than Kumo Augment, so he's going to get a lot of shots in before he gets stunned, and then he's going to pop right back out, and he's going to keep swinging. Alright, so Gigan 04 is probably, in my book, outside of another Kumo or any effects, Gigan is probably the best counter to Kumo Augment at the moment, so he's being thrown in this deck. He's like a no-brainer. Next is Earth. Godzilla Earth also is a counter to Kumo Augment, as well as a counter to Kamen Rider Leader abilities. Everyone and their mother are using Kamen Rider Leaders this season because of the really fantastic buff to the rented levels. My Kamen Rider, you can see, is level 18. My Kamen Rider, realistically, I think just hit 6 or 7. So, phenomenal, right? Phenomenal character. As a lead, everyone's using him. Pretty meta lead. I was going to say Girth, or Ultraman. It is, both of them. Godzilla Earth is completely immune to the leader ability. He's completely immune to Kumo Augment, and Kumo Augment does not do enough damage to 1v1 an Earth. He can 1v1 a lot of characters, even a Biollante in the water, but he's not going to 1v1 Earth. Okay? Earth is a direct counter to Kumo Augment, and he's a direct counter to Kamen Rider Leader, and a lot of Kamen Rider leaders, when the going gets tough, right, and they're getting swarmed right up to them, they'll hit that stun. Earth isn't affected, so while your other units in the push are totally stopped up, Earth is just going to keep firing away. Goated unit, goated ability. Earth is great. Earth meta is here. Have fun with that. Pans, will see you on the battlefield and in the comments and in Discord. Tell me, I told you so. I know it. I knew it. I knew Girth is coming. Girth meta is here. You can see right there, look, that Kamen Rider froze the whole field. Or I froze the whole field, I'm sorry, my Earth is still kicking. So I missed, said the Kamen Rider leader, but the point still stands. He would have not been stunned anyway. Next, I got Kiryu. Now, this bottom row, I don't think are necessities. I think the top 3, or I guess the top 4, that row, that's like the shell of this deck, is using like Kumo, Gigan, and Earth just to basically circumvent all the stuns, and then Kamen Rider to be stunning yourself. Or you be the one distributing stuns. The bottom row, I'm having a lot of success with, although if I had to pick one unit out of here to switch out, it would probably be Ultraman. I find myself not really relying on him too much. I just have him in here for the fact that he's also immune to stuns, so that just gives me an extra leg up when the Rider kick comes out, or I'm stuck in a Kumo freeze. I got Ultraman here. Great range, great piercing. I like him a lot. I've invested a lot into my Ultraman. So I'm going to get that mileage out of him. But I feel like I could replace him. The biggest problem I have with this deck is I don't have anything low cost that I can just drop on the field to protect myself at a moment's notice. Like, I don't have Kamacuras, so maybe I would switch Ultraman for Kamacuras just for some quick defense, or maybe I would put Psychic Chorus in there for Ultraman or something. But he's fun. He's fine. I don't think you need him for the deck. I don't think you need anything from the bottom row in particular, but I'm seeing a lot of success with this exact lineup, so feel free to use it yourself. Kiryu. Kiryu is great. Kiryu has always been great, and this season especially, with the fact that Kumo is running the field and the board, and you can place Kiryu anywhere, he's going to do really, really well in cleaning some of them up. If he can 1v1 a Kumo, right? Because he can get stuck in the webbing, but his attack is 2.6 seconds. Kumo's is 3.2, so he's still going to get the attacks off even when he's stunned. He's really strong, so he's going to wipe a Kumo no problem. Additionally, when you have Kamen Rider Leader, if you have 8 energy saved up, you can drop Kiryu on the enemy lead and then freeze all their units and just let Kiryu go to town. So being able to deploy Kiryu is huge. I was experimenting earlier, in the week with Mogera. Mine is level 30. Mogera just got a buff, and I wanted to see what that was like. Mogera is decent. This season, I don't think he's as good as I would have hoped he is, but if your Kiryu isn't at a super high level, I mean, mine is at 22, so I'm seeing a lot of success with him, and I got the funny little fruit color skins on him, right? I got the grape skin, I got the fruit punch skin, so I'm getting a lot of mileage out of my Kiryu, but if your Kiryu is maybe a little bit on the weaker side and you're looking to fill that gap, Mogera will probably be fine. He's just not going to be doing as much damage, but he's got a 1.1 second attack speed, and that's really good against a Kumo Augment as well. So, next, Fyrodan. Fyrodan is probably the flyer that maybe benefits the most from this season, because he's the only flyer with an on-death effect outside of what's his name, the 10th Angel that explodes. But no one's using the 10th Angel right now. Not many people have him leveled up, and in this meta, he's not really cooking. Maybe he could. Admin 1, shout out, if you got like a level 41 or something cooking in your back pocket, try it out and let me know how it is. But Fyrodan, when he dies, he heals. This is perfect. If you're locked up in a Kumo stun push, and your Fyrodan is in there, and it dies, guess what? It's healing all of your characters that are stunned. It's buying you more time to beat that push. Additionally, even though Kamen Rider as a leader will knock back your Fyrodan, if you have your team is pushing up and Kumo Augment sits outside of leader range, except for I think Kamen Rider leader range. God, do we even need Ultraman also? I couldn't think of the name. I was going to say Ultima. But if you have a push coming up on the enemy leader, kind of like how I have now, your Fyrodan, when it gets inevitably kicked away by the Kamen Rider, and it dies, guess what? It's just moved it back to your team and dropped heals down. That's huge. It's all about the heals. Fire Dan also has a pretty decent attack speed too, and attack range. So I'm getting a lot of success out of him, not only just like for the heals, but just in general, like in team fights. He's cleaning up, surprisingly. So I think personally, Leo is kind of out of the meta. He's still being used, but I think that's just people holding on to him, and have, their investments in him. I'm not seeing any Batras. I literally haven't seen like a single Batra this season. Batra's out, right? Fyrodan, that heal is future-proof, man. Unless they nerf that heal is chilling. So look at this. Watch. Kamen Rider kicks my Fyrodan away. The Hedera kills him, and it's starting to heal up my Kiryu. So having that heal is great. Fyrodan super succeeds where all the other flyers are kind of failing because he has an additional effect, and that additional effect is super helpful to you and your team. Ultraman, we've already talked about. The piercing is good. He can fly, which lets him avoid ground units. He has his attack speed is kind of on the not slow end, but he's not super fast either. I don't exactly remember what it is off the top of my head, but he's mostly in here because he is immune to Kumo Augment. He would be the one piece in this deck that I think is the flex spot. He's the most, he's the one I'm using the least. I find myself dropping him the least or relying on him the least in a push because he doesn't do it as much damage as he used to after his nerf. He's just really good in the current meta that's just entirely stunned. So if like Kamen Rider uses the enemy Kamen Rider uses their leader ability, guess what? Ultraman doesn't give a shit. He's totally immune. So that's why he's in there. Just pretty much for Kumo and Kamen Rider, but I would maybe switch him out. Maybe if yours isn't as strong, maybe if you want to use Mogera and Kiryu together, or Mothra Leo, or even Ultima seeing a lot of success this season as well, Super X, so he would be the flex spot as Ultraman. Next, I got the Dimension Tide. I normally run the trains, post-train buff, so it's been a few months, because I just like to delete the energy base. I do not like the energy base, and if you do use the energy base, I like to make sure that you cannot use it, so I just will train bomb the energy base, and even train bomb is really good against Kumo. But I'm using the Dimension Tide because there's a lot of splash damage here. Kumo Augment is massive AoE, duh. Gigan 04 has a minor AoE. He can slice up multiple units at a time. The Kamacuras, right? It's really small AoE, but there's an AoE there. Earth, bro, Earth hits like everything in front of him, right? He's got great piercing damage, great range. Dimension Tide is going to pull them right into that. Kiryu also has splash damage. I can pull enemies into the Kiryu Kiryu attack, and that'll be fine. Ultraman as well has the piercing. Multiple enemies will be hit. So pretty much everything in this deck, with the exception of Fyrodan, hits multiple enemies at the same time. So being able to use the Dimension Tide to group up enemies into just one spot and let your AoE units just absolutely go to town on them, that's big. We love to see that. That's big, and that's what we like. So you could replace this with Psychic Chorus if you want to have more health on like your Godzilla Earth, additional health on top of the Fyrodan heal, just keep your guys alive longer. I'm seeing a lot of success with the Dimension Tide, and I'll keep it 100 with you. I have been having success this season, but I haven't landed on a deck that I really genuinely like and want to keep using. I was running like a 4th Angel Gigan Rush deck, and I was getting like cheeky wins, but it like feels kind of bad. I was running like a sniper deck with like Ultimate Super X, and like that's fine, but if you get run up on by the Kumo, it's not going to work out well. And I wasn't really confident about any decks that I've used this season, and every day, literally since day 1 of the season, I've been trying to use a new deck or come up with a new deck that I think is good enough to see success. And everything had about like a 50-50 win rate or like a 40-60 like win-loss rate. This deck actually has like for me a 90% win rate, because I track when I make these deck videos. I like track the win losses, and this actually legitimately has like a 90% win loss rate. I think I've lost to 2 people today, so if you're watching this, you know who you are. Shout out, because you beat me. But this deck, I'm really enjoying it. I'm seeing a lot of success. I don't think you need to follow this deck exactly to a T. I think if you do, you're gonna have fun, especially if your levels are kind of similar to mine. But I think the most important characters for you to be using are the top 4, Kamen Rider Leader, Kumo Augment, Gigan 04, and Godzilla Earth. I think that this is a phenomenal deck. I think that Earth users are going to have a field day with this. I think the Kumo enjoyers are going to... I can't even say what the Kumo enjoyers are going to like because I get demonetized. That's fine, but the Kumo enjoyers have fun here. Kamen Rider stands, you know, you're going to be loving him as a leader, right? So he's here too for you. Kiryu fans, I hope you get the funny grape skin on because you can show it off, and that's about it. That's what I got, right? So this deck is fun. I'm seeing a lot of success with it. It's probably the most fun I've had with a deck all season. I've been feeling pretty miserable about the entire season, as you know, probably from watching my channels or hanging on my Discord or talking to me in general. But this deck is giving me some hope that while the meta is pretty strict, like it's pretty much run Kumo or lose, I think this is a fun way to run him and kind of keep your opponent on their toes. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye-bye.